Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday night segment here on the Outer Realm with myself, Michelle DeRoche, and Amelia Pisano. We are broadcasting live via the International Public Radio right here on the United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored tonight, every night, with or from the amazing folks at Folgers. Say that. I need a Folgers. I think I need a very strong Folgers. It's been that kind of a day. Anyway, thank you, Folgers. And of course, we're truly grateful and honored to have Dr. Snick on board, aka the Sonic Surgeon, Justin Snicker, who has supplied his voice and his music for our intro and our outro. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music. His music is available on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, anywhere that you can basically stream music. So thank you. Tonight we welcome our returning guest, Micah Dank, to the show, and we'll get into his bio in a few minutes and get into his discussion. Looking forward to it. It was a great time the last time he was on, so we know it's going to be a good time again this evening. I just love what he does. Anyway, please tune in to, I would say, best place is UFO Paranormal Radio, YouTube. We are on International Public Radio on YouTube as well. But if you want direct response, please go to the UFO Paranormal. We are also on Facebook, The Outer Realm, of course, Canada's Most Haunted, of course. News on the Flip Side, Joe Montaldo, UFO Undercover, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, and we are on Twitch under UFO Paranormal Radio also. So, got all that out of the way, taking a breath.
Wind.
Yeah, so.
Wind. Thank you, Colorado, one. By the way.
We're what?
You, Colorado. The winds are coming from Colorado. Thank you.
Boy. U.S. is a gift that keeps on giving.
Isn't it? Hi, Wayne. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Michelle.
Hey,
it's just really, you guys have been giving us some great weather these past couple months. It's been insanity the past month. But at least we're safe, Unfortunately, for Kentucky and the Midwest was touched down on again. So my thoughts and prayers are with you all.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty bad. But we're getting the offshoot of that, and it just sounds like, in this house especially, like it's old, it's big, but everything just sort of, the walls are 3 feet thick. When it's shaking, you're like,
why?
It's like, it's bad. It doesn't sound good.
I have chandeliers everywhere, and all you hear is ding, ding, ding,
yeah.
ding, ding, ding. I'm like, really?
I still get that one piano key that goes.
That's a whole other show. We won't go there.
It's so freaking weird. Like all this random thing is one piano key, bing, and it resonates. I'm like,
it's not weird when we know who's doing it, though.
I know, but still.
Michelle Millions is enjoying a Folgers coffee right now. That's great, Michelle.
That's excellent. Cheers.
Yeah. Salud.
There we go.
But, oh my gosh, what a crazy, windy, crazy day. I was out for just a short amount of time because I'm having a hard time being out, but that's another,
it could be a whole other segment and everything. And you go out and you have this big 90-kilometer wind go.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's why I said, let's just try it straight, honest to God, because she loves to just curl my hair. But
it's like, because you're like a little bubbly dolly. You just get to do stuff with it.
She doesn't think that way, but she would argue with you on that one. She's known me 29 years, and she's like ready to kill me.
I've had such bubbly dolly.
No, I've had the tail comb, the tip of the tail comb in my head more than once because I'm squirrely and I I'm just like, because people talk to me when I'm there.
Yeah.
Lately, no, because it's been dead because of what's going on in our world. So the salon is very, very dead. There's nobody there but me when I was with her.
Which is good.
Well, it works out very well for us with, my daughter having kidney disease and that. I don't want to be somewhere where it's crowded. I don't want to take a risk.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's weird, but usually when I'm there, I'll be noticed or spoken to, and so I'm used to. And I'm friendly.
Yeah, more friendly
Hi,
than
Dolly.
me.
Hi, Derek. No, you're friendly. I've seen you with fans. You're really good.
Yeah.
But like, if somebody wants to talk to me, I don't mind talking to them. Giving them a reading at the time,
No, that doesn't work out.
That doesn't work for me. Not on my own time. I don't do readings either. I haven't done them in years. I only do them for bereaved parents, and I do that without charge because I want to help in any way. But anyways, yeah, so it was very quiet.
I'm just reading Michelle's comment.
Folgers, the coffee of investigators. It'll wake the dead. So Folgers, how would you like that for like a paranormal Thursday?
That's a good thing.
Right?
And Derek. Yeah, what's it like in Vancouver right now?
Oh my gosh, are you guys okay?
Yeah, floods and stuff,
Yeah, my girlfriend lives in Richmond, and I'm constantly asking her how she's doing.
It's a lot of crazy weather out there.
Everywhere.
Fearless leaders everywhere.
I hope you're safe and sound.
Yeah.
And are any of you out there shopping in this madness? I'm just curious. If you are, give us a ding. I'm not, because I went online in October and was done October 1st, same day I went online.
My problem is if I start too early, I keep going.
That's what I have been doing.
Wayward Templar Knights.
Yeah. Yes.
That's where we go.
But yeah, I have been adding to it, but I've shipped out the things that I need to ship out. So I stopped there. It's Mini Me who gets
everything spoiled.
Oh, yesterday one came in because I heard her talk about it, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna get it for her.
That's another one.
And then it's like,
one?
No, but it's a lot to wrap. So I just said to her, I know she's gonna answer yes. If you ask her, do you want to open all your presents right now? She'd be like, yeah. She's like a little kid. Yeah. Yeah. And you have to seal everything because she will peek.
That's duct tape.
24 still peeking. Yeah, duct tape her gifts.
Duct tape, yeah, exactly.
Shrink wrap them all with the wrapping, and then shrink wrap them on the outside. Like tons of shrink wrap. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Michael.
So like I just like here one less to wrap, because you probably have about 50 of them under the tree. So, and this is the first year since my dad passed that we are we do have a tree up. So for those of you who have a sick loved one or have lost one, I totally understand how you feel, and I'm very sorry for it. It doesn't it gets harder, but you learn to live with it. I've had 4 major losses in my life, but you learn to, and I learned something from every single one. I really do. I learned how to live better from everyone. There's an example of how to live life better.
What's all this stuff I'm listening to?
Look who's here.
So you talk about lost ones, right? Between 16 and 18, I lost my dad, my grandfather, my great grandmother, my grandmother, my uncle, and a niece, all within 3 years. In my life till now at 50, I've actually lost more than 33 people in my life. Close, all of those.
It's really hard. I'm so sorry.
Curse. Actually, for me, it gets easier, which is, I hate to say it like that because it's wrong to say it like that, but it does.
I understand what you mean. You're a little bit more accepting. With my dad, I'm having the hardest time ever.
Yeah, but my mom's birthday was 3 days
therapy.
ago.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about that one time, but it's like coming up to the week, I didn't think about it. I was preoccupied because I'm really busy. And then I realized that Monday, the 13th was her birthday, and I was like, shit. But then I got busy. So when I'm busy like this, it doesn't faze me as much because I can bury my grief into other things.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Don.
I mean, you got to cope with it. Hey, Michelle, you got to cope with it anyway. Sooner or later, you got to cope with it. But
yeah, I know.
Hey, Red Michelle. It's time Michelle in the room, not you.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just sitting on the sidelines. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm just ignoring you, Red. Don't give me no trouble.
I know. It's like, right.
can't
You're
call
on the
me
list.
Red
For
anymore.
some reason,
Thank
you're on the
God.
list. Somebody said you were on the list. So you're on
Oh,
the
Wayne
list.
said he does not know 33 people in his
Yes,
life.
he does.
It's
Wayne,
been a
I
weird
think
thing.
there's 33 of us if my immediate family gets together.
Wow.
Because
I
there's
lost
11 grandchildren and there's 8 great grandkids.
Mm.
So
well, I lost well, it's like one of my really good friends when he was 19. He got drunk, hit a ditch at about 110 miles an hour, got thrown out the car, landed face down in the mud, killed him. And I remember
you're
going to his dad was a preacher, and I remember going to the service, and they were harping on how this happened, how he looked like he was praying because he landed on his knees face down. Well, the sun visor cut the top of his head off. He was dead before he hit the ground. And
oh
it
my
pissed
God,
me
it's like
off.
a Grace Kelly murder.
Well, the other guy,
thing.
he got decapitated, so there was 2 of them in the car.
Oh, like,
And I was pissed. I was already angry because what had happened to him. But the fact that they were going to use it to teach a child matter of fact, I didn't go back into a church for almost 10 years after that. I was seriously pissed. I was like, I had to leave. They asked me why I was last. I said, I can't. If I stay any longer, I want to make an ass out of myself. I said, I gotta go. But I've lost several good friends over the years. Some of them just stupid stuff, cocaine, crack, just stupid shit.
well, I feel like when they're like that they're kind of out of their misery because they do that out of pain.
And it's hard to feel sorry for someone like that too. So
I
get
do
more
feel
angry
sorry
with
for them, but I feel like they're out of pain. They can move on now. They've.
Well, I had a good friend of mine. I remember when right after when he committed suicide, his wife came to see me, and she said, I said, I don't feel sorry for her. She's like, Jared, it's wrong. I said, sweetie, I've had all the same problems he did and more. And you don't see me blowing my fucking brains. Oops, excuse me. Blowing my brains out of my head.
This is not your hour.
Wow.
You can't curse here.
It was an accident. It was a slip. It was only partial curse anyway.
Joe owes $10 in the naughty jar. I'm writing it down. $10.
It was a half a curse. That's $5
in the naughty jar. Where's my list for
Well,
Joe?
we're going to have
Last
to actually
meeting,
get
I had a
onto the
list.
topic at hand. And introduce
yeah, that's right. Damn it, Emil. You get on damn topic.
Yeah, you have a PowerPoint
I was
to get
just
ready.
talking about you with somebody just a minute ago, just before I came in here.
Who?
Did you just
Your
swear
ears should have been
once?
burning, Miss Amelia. I was just talking
Okay,
about
good.
you.
Was it me?
Oh, I don't know. Do I want to know?
No, you don't.
Tell me later. Tell me after the show.
No, I was
She
talking
must
to
have-
Carmen. You know who he is.
Oh, yes. He sent me an email. I told him I'd get back to him in January when we can figure out a
We
schedule.
were scheduling an Australian interview. That's who I was talking to.
Yeah.
All right, I'm shutting up now.
Looking forward to that. Thanks, Joe.
All right.
We'll put this
With that
tea
said,
down.
Yeah, maybe we should
Get into
go
this.
through our guest bio. Hi, Doreen.
I don't know what Joe's on, but I want some.
I know.
I don't know what Joe's on. Our guest tonight.
She's on the Folgers, Joe. Yes.
Our guest tonight became interested in esoteric sciences, including the astrology and astrotheology prevalent through his book series, Exploring Astrology and Hidden Codes in the Bible. Tonight he's here to discuss the Book of Enoch and the Book of Revelations. Please welcome Micah Dank to the show.
When it gets here.
Really? Like today? I'm telling you, this is like Freaky Friday, but it's
I know. I'm actually going to message.
Can you block Joe?
Ready?
Can we block him? Can we block him?
I have no idea. There we go. I'm just going to send this out now. All right. Just hoping. Did you hear that? It's my email.
No. Nothing.
What just happened? I don't know.
Wayne. I don't know, Wayne.
It's that kind of a day. I don't know either. I, for one, I'm looking really forward to decoding more so the Book of Enoch than anything else because I love the Book of Enoch. It was left out of the New Testament. And for those who don't know, Enoch was your very first alien abductee. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So There we go. And I find it fascinating.
All the Catholics are going to drop off now. All the Baptists. Boom, 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 boom. It's okay. You should stay and just hear it out. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got to say. There's so much information in there as it is that, I mean, just to decode that stuff, to read between the lines. I
Yeah.
think it's fascinating.
Fabulous. I'm excited because I don't know that much about the Book of Enoch. So I did a little bit of research, but then again, when you do on YouTube, sometimes what happens is it goes in 10 different directions. So at least I got a little bit, but I'm looking forward to his presentation and to learning more. He's always such a wealth of information.
Well, he is for sure. And I think the book of Revelations, oh, I guess, that's probably something that's, I don't know. It's all over the place too for me, and you have the real diehards who are like, and I'm like, what?
Yes. and that's the whole thing, right? Is when I was researching it, I'm a visual learner, so I will search things on YouTube. It's actually the way I learned how to crochet, just putting that in there. But anyways, yeah, and I found that everybody's perspective was so vastly different that I just turned it off and said, I'm just gonna wait for Micah. But I got a little bit of it. I also read some of it as well. Hi, Renee.
Okay, here we go.
I said hi to Mary. I'm not sure if you know.
Hello.
Hi, how are you feeling? First of all,
I'm still fighting through it, but I'm gonna do as much as I can tonight.
oh my gosh,
wow, you're a champion.
You should have just rested. We understand. I was sick last week, so I understand.
It's been the worst flu. I've been home in bed for 6 days now.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. See, that's the whole thing right now. You just don't know what's going to happen. So we're really good with that.
Yeah. Oh, it's a time of year too. That's why I said, like, this time of year, you get hit pretty hard. That's why I said, you sure you're starting to schedule to January? It might take you that long to snap out of this. So,
I mean, we could definitely do the Book of Enoch at least, and then if we could do any more, because I want to teach you guys about this.
Oh, I think it's great.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we can we'll start wherever you want to start. I don't know if one is if one is in, or if your PowerPoints are in order. But I think he's going to be just setting everything up and starting with the Book of Revelation. So we could just go and let's just keep it really laid back and see where it goes. If we want to start with the Book of Enoch, I can just tell him to start with the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, tell him to do that.
All right, let's go with Book of Enoch.
Did click on there, be right back. So let's hope he's back.
We start Book of Enoch. Well, hopefully he'll see it.
I feel bad for you, Micah. That's rough.
Yeah,
I've done like 3 or 4 podcasts this week too.
I know that feeling.
You need a few days of doing absolutely nothing.
That's what this weekend is for.
Good. I'm glad. Lots of rest.
Why don't you recap just a little bit while we're waiting for Joe to come back with the PowerPoint? Just recap a little bit on the last show, like what got you involved in all of this, because we have a lot of new listeners.
Okay, so what got me involved? So what I do, there's some people that are listening on the radio that I've talked to on Facebook, some people that live in New Orleans. Shout out to them. But I wanted to, so about 8 years ago, 8.5 years ago, I'd moved to Boston for a new job. And when I was in Boston for a new job, I'd moved with an ex that I'm no longer with. And we had this really nice apartment in this really nice development. And she'd be on the TV because we didn't know many people, like on the weekends. And I think the iPad had just come out, or the iPad 2 had just come out. And I'd be on the iPad and I would go down rabbit holes. And I came across, there's 2 researchers, Jordan Maxwell and Santos Bonocci. And I love their stuff. Their stuff just really
Jordan's
spoke to
amazing.
me. It really just spoke to me. So I started studying their stuff. And then when I was comfortable enough with their material, I started opening old books, old holy books, not just of the Bible, but out of the Bible too, like the Code of Hammurabi, the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh, things of that nature. I found that there was a code in all of them.
Wow.
So what I did was I just started making PowerPoint presentations, started doing podcasts, this and that, started teaching them. One of the podcast people I put you in contact with was a rapper named Truth Seeker. And he's an esoteric rapper. Okay.
Can't wait.
He's an esoteric.
Awesome.
He's an esoteric rapper. As far as I know, he's the only one that does this. And he raps about syncretism and all sorts of different mystical sciences. He's a Christian mystic.
Way cool.
So
Thank you.
I got him in touch with you guys. I got him in touch, I got him on Coast to Coast, got him on a bunch of things. And then I found out Jordan Maxwell wrote the foreword to his book. And I was like, oh, I really, look up to him, and I've never met him. So he goes, hold on a second. You did this for me. Let me do this for you. So he got me on a conference call, like a Zoom call, like we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he got me on a Zoom call, and I was able to email him some of my work. And he said that what was the word he used? Sensational. That's what he said. He said the work was sensational.
Wow, that's amazing coming from Jordan Maxwell, because he's freaking amazing, right?
Yes. So
Yeah.
we talk. I haven't called him in a couple of weeks, but usually I reach out to him, and then, he knows me by Skype now. Now he's back on Twitter.
Wow.
And we talked. So then, people in my timeline, because I tell everybody, friend me, find me on social. Let me know what you thought of my work. I have a book series. I sell them from my house as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that this work is interesting, the book series will blow you away. And what ended up happening was some of these friends that I had would start posting about Santos Bonocci, how he has a syncretism school now. He has an online school. So I had previously talked to Santos when I first started decoding holy text, like the book of Matthew, like I did last time I was on with you.
Mm-hmm.
I sent him one of my videos, and he posted it on Facebook. He shared it. He goes, I've shared this around. So then people told me he had a syncretism school. So I sent him a bunch of podcasts. I think yours were one included, the one we just did. And I sent a bunch to him, and he writes back to me. He goes, oh, you're good, brother. He goes, we would love you to be part of the academy. So now I'm teaching at Santos' school as well.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's
no
great.
wonder you got sick.
Yeah.
And
So it's
crazy
just,
busy.
I'm amongst the two that I really looked up to, the ones that really changed my life. I'm amongst them now.
Wow.
And it's just been really humbling. It's been great. I've been getting great feedback from people, not too much negativity, despite what I talk about.
Right.
Excellent.
I think it's excellent. Congratulations. That's just awesome. I love Jordan Maxwell. God, just to pick that man's brain for 5 minutes would be just mind blowing. So he's such a sweetie. So, okay, well, we're ready. I think Joe's ready to go on the Book of Enoch. There we are.
Thank you, Jojo.
So hold on, before we start, I got to ask you ladies, what do you know about the Book of Enoch? Tell me everything that you.
I know absolutely zero. I'll let Michelle answer that.
Well, I do know that it was left, the Book of Enoch was left out of the New Testament. I always say he's the first abductee, right? To sort of go and walk amongst extraterrestrials, especially when I think of the one thing that he says where, they showed him the future and everything in the palm of their hand. I think something along these lines. I know that he went back and forth quite a bit. And, for those of our Christian friends, they would know him as the Archangel or the Angel Metatron.
Correct.
So you could go on and on, but we'd be here for a while.
What you also know is that the Ethiopian Bible also has the Book of Enoch in it. The
Yes.
Ethiopian people are interesting people. They have a 13-month calendar, okay? It's 12 months of 30 days and 1 month of 5 days, okay?
Wow.
Their new year is on September 11th. Go figure.
Oh.
And also, they have a church there that is heavily guarded that supposedly has the Ark of the Covenant there. And there was a story that was kind of buried in the headlines a while back, maybe a couple months ago, that said that basically 75 people tried to rush it and they were all killed. Yeah. So they have something hidden in there,
Yeah, they don't want anybody to see it.
But so the Book of Enoch, I believe he was Methuselah's grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
And he lived 365 years.
Mm-hmm.
We can get into what the years go later. But basically in the Bible, everybody... So in the Bible, when they're giving the lineage, they'll say Abraham lived 900 and blah, blah, blah years. He begat a son at blah, blah, blah years. He died at blah, blah, blah years.
Mm-hmm.
But with Enoch, when you get to Enoch, they says he lived 900 years and he was not, for God took him. So he was the first person. You have Enoch, you have Elijah that actually went up to heaven alive.
Right.
Okay, so that's the story.
Yes.
And these are
Like
metaphors.
the
obviously.
raptures, of course. Yeah.
Right. These are metaphors, obviously.
Yes.
But we're going to go through the Book of Enoch, and I'm going to show you the astrotheology in it. But
Okay.
first, we have to go through the 12 signs of the zodiac. So we could start the presentation. You can go to slide 2.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. There we
No, go to
Oh,
1.
that's
Hold on.
so
What?
tiny.
Go back to 1.
Go back to 1. Go back to 1. There we go. Okay. Book of Enoch.
I don't have it in this. Hold on. I have to read you from another thing. Hold on.
Well, you just read it yourself, and then we'll connect up on this when you're ready to go.
All right. So let's talk about Aquarius. Okay. The first sign I talk about is Aquarius, which is represented by the man. Whenever you hear the word son of man,
Right.
baptism, because the man with the water pitcher pouring it out, that's how you baptize someone.
Right.
Water pitcher, fountain, stream, river, lake, pond, they're talking about Aquarius. Whenever you're talking about Pisces, you're talking about the same thing because Pisces is the water sign. Now, although Aquarius is an air sign in astrology, because there's water literally in the sign, it can be used to talk about water. Then Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day, 12-hour night. In Aries, you have the Passover. Always. Nisan 14 always falls in Aries. It's when God passes over Egypt and smites the firstborn children of anyone who doesn't have the lamb or the ram. Aries, the ram. They don't have the ram's blood on their doorpost. Okay? In astrology, the Passover is the day, March 21st, where the sun passes over the equator and on its way back to its height in the summer solstice. In Christianity, you have Easter. That's always in Aries. Easter and Passover chase each other in Aries. The Passover, and it's changed and it's called the resurrection of God's Son. So it's different meanings, but it's the same meaning at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you're talking about ram, lamb, shepherd, ram's horn, the Jews blow the ram's horn because they're the people of Aries. They're talking about Aries. Then Taurus is the bull. When you see and look at the sky, okay, and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seeds so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow being the female bull, talking about Taurus. Then Gemini is the twins. That's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. So whenever you hear twins or brothers, they're talking about Gemini. And Cancer is the crab. And it's the sideways moving creature. The crab shuffles from left to right. Okay. We don't do that unless it's like a sports drill. Okay. But just as the sun rises on its axis starting December 25th, on December 25th, it'll rise a degree. The next day, it'll rise another degree. Every day, it rises another degree. The days get longer, the nights get shorter. Till June 21st. That's when the sun is at its height. That's the summer solstice. Then, just like the crab, it walks sideways for 3 days. And then on June 25th, and when I say it walks sideways, I mean it stays at that height of June 21st. It doesn't go up and doesn't go down. Then on June 25th, it drops a degree. And then every other day, it drops an additional degree until it hits December 21st, which is the winter solstice. It's the longest night of the year, the shortest day of the year. The ancients used to say that God's sun was dead because it wouldn't rise above the horizon. And then it walked sideways for 3 days. So it became God's sun was dead for 3 days before his resurrection. And the sun resurrects on December 25th. That's why all the ancient gods are born on December 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Then Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you're talking about lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Then Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. So remember before we said you plant in Taurus. Well, you plant in Taurus, and then the virgins would cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, they're talking about Virgo. Okay. Right. And Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. Okay? So whenever you hear justice, judge, judgment, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, lawly things that happen in a courtroom, lawyer, for example, they're talking about Libra. Libra is also wine season. That's when you press the grapes to get the wine. Okay? So that's also there. It's also olive oil season. So you press the olives to get the oil in Libra. That's when you collect. That's when you do it. Scorpio is the scorpion. and he is known as the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. It's why the mafia has the kiss of death, and it's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. Judas, in the story, could have pointed him out. He could have thrown a rock at him. He could have hugged him. He could have done a million things. He betrays him with a kiss because Judas is the betrayer, and Scorpio is the betrayer. The ancients knew this. So he would leave an imprint in your skin that looked like a pair of lips, but it was full of poison.
Right.
Okay, so that's the betrayal.
Right.
So the sun is judged in Libra. It's betrayed in Scorpio. Finally, in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun. And Sagittarius has December 21st, which is the day of death. Anytime they're talking about a death, metaphorically, astrotheologically, they're talking about December 21st. It's always Sagittarius.
Right.
Jesus dies in 4 Gospels. Okay? There are 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Right.
Okay? The horseman is Sagittarius. Okay? The horseman of the apocalypse. Jesus dies in 4 horsemen, which is the 4 Gospels, December 21st. So whenever you hear horse, bow, and arrow, spear, horseman, they're talking about Sagittarius. And then finally Capricorn, because he's the goat. Because if you look at the zodiac wheel, Capricorn's at the bottom of the wheel. So if you imagine the sun climbing a degree a day alongside the zodiac wheel, it starts to climb in Capricorn. So it starts to climb up the mountain, the great mountain, back up to June 21st. Okay? So those are the 12 signs. And I've given you keywords that you need to look.
Okay.
So we can...
Okay, go to slide 2. Okay, yeah. Can we go to 2, Joe? Please and thank you. Thank you. A little bit smaller. Okay, thank you.
There you go. Chapter 2:1. Observe ye everything that takes place in the heaven, how they do not change their orbits, and the luminaries which are in the heaven, how they all rise and set in order, each in its season, and transgress not against their appointed order. That's what I just told you. What I just went through was the 12 signs. That's what they basically do. They're all in their place. They do not change their orbits. Okay? They all rise and set in order, each in its season. There's 4 seasons. Okay? So you can go to the next slide.
Okay, perfect. Number 3, Joe. Thank you.
Chapter 8:2. Simjaza taught enchantments. Armoros, the resolving of enchantments. Barakiel taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Sariel, the course of the moon. Okay, so they're openly talking about astrology and how they're talking about it. Meanwhile, if you look at the Catholic Catechism 2116, they tell you that astrology is evil and to avoid it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You can go to the next slide.
Awesome.
14:11. Its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them was a fiery cherubim, and the heavens was clear as water. This could mean the sign Aquarius or Pisces, as they are the water signs. We're going to figure out which one. Go to the next slide. And I entered that house, and it was hot as fire and cold as ice. The sun has entered either Aquarius as Pisces. As those are the winter months, the sun is both hot and in the middle of winter, so it's both cold and ice. It's a metaphor.
Right.
You can go to the next one.
Okay.
And I beheld a vision, and lo, there was a second house greater than the former, and the entire portal stood open before me, and it was built of flames of fire. And in every respect it so excelled in splendor and magnificence and extent that I cannot describe to you its splendor and extent. And its floor was of fire, and above it were lightnings and the path of the stars. And its ceilings was also flames of fire. And I looked, and I saw there a lofty throne. Its appearance was as crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. So the sun is in its kingdom. It's in Leo. Remember, the sun rules Leo. Okay? When they're talking about the kingdom of heaven on earth, they're talking about the sun in Leo. When they're talking about the sun in its kingdom, it's in Leo. It's the dead of summer. Okay? Also, we now know that they were talking about Aquarius, not Pisces before. Because Leo and Aquarius are opposing signs. And I made this point previously, is that whenever you're talking about zodiac signs, they're always going to reference the neighboring sign or their cross sign, because that's the pattern they follow. That's how you know this was encoded this way, because it always follows the same pattern. If it just jumped from one sign to another, you could still make the connection that it was at the zodiac. But the fact that it's always the neighboring and the connecting signs, which are the most powerful signs to a sign, that's why. Okay, so we can go to the next slide. 17, the point of whose summit reached to heaven. They're talking about darkness, which is correlated to winter. So it's one of the winter months. And I saw the place of the luminaries and the treasuries of the stars and of the thunder, and in the uttermost depths where were a fiery bow and arrow in their quiver. The man with the arrow and quiver, Sagittarius.
Yes.
So moving along the zodiac in its progression, what's next? Now Sagittarius is in the winter. Okay, so go to the next slide. So it's Sagittarius moving along in the zodiac. And they took me to the living waters and to the fire of the west. Aquarius and Pisces are on the left side of the zodiac, which is the west. Therefore, the west. The sun is now back to the water sign. Okay, so you went from Sagittarius to Aquarius. Those are neighboring signs. So these just follow suit. So go to the next slide. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the four winds which bear the earth and the firmament of the heaven. The four winds are the cross that the zodiac has. So when you have a zodiac wheel and you connect the solstices and the equinoxes, it makes a perfect cross. That's the cross of God's son. God's son lives and dies on that cross. Okay? I saw how the wind stretched out the vaults of heaven. I saw the winds of heaven which turn and bring the circumference of the sun and all their stars to their setting. So go to the next slide. 18:13. And I saw 7 stars like great burning mountains, and to me when I inquired regarding them. The 7 stars, you've heard of the Pleiades, right?
Yes.
Yes, they're known as the 7 sisters.
That's right.
They talk about this in Revelation. They talk about the 7 stars. Anytime they mention 7 stars, that's what they're talking about. It's the 7 stars of the Pleiades. Okay? The Pleiades, I believe they're in Taurus. I have to double check though. But go to the next slide. Again, and there I saw 7 stars of the heaven bound together in it, the great mountains and burning with fire. They're the 7 stars again. Okay, go to the next slide. 46:1. And there I saw one who had a head of days, and his head was white like wool, sheep, Aries. Right. And with him was another being whose countenance had the appearance of a man. 46:3. This is the Son of Man who hath righteousness. I've mentioned the Son of Man was Aquarius. When you're talking about nicknames for Jesus, okay, that are given in the church that people don't realize are just astrology, okay, the Son of Man is Aquarius. When the sun is in Aquarius, Jesus is known as the Son of Man. When Jesus is in Pisces, he's known as the fisherman of men, and it's why he feeds the masses with the 2 fish. When Jesus is in Aries, he's the Lamb of God or the Good Shepherd. Okay? When Jesus is in Cancer, Cancer is the crab, but it's also, in ancient times, it was the scarab beetle. St. Augustine called Jesus the good beetle in his works. When the sun is in Leo, he's known as the Lion of Judah. The lady with the stalk of wheat in Virgo, he's born of a virgin, and he's called the bread of life, the wheat stalk. When the sun is in Libra, he's known as the just one. These are all names for him that the church openly talks about when you're referencing him. The Lamb of God, the Good Shepherd, all this. These are all names for him. The Lion of Judah. It's all astrology. Okay?
I believe that. I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So go to the next slide, please. 48:1. And in that place, I saw the fountain of righteousness. Again, a fountain. Aquarius, the man with the water pitcher. And all the thirsty drank of them, and were filled with wisdom. And at that hour, the Son of Man was named. Again, the Son of Man. Aquarius. So that passage is just talking about Aquarius. 14. For wisdom poured out like water, Aquarius. And he shall judge the secret things. Well, judging is Libra, the scales of justice.
Right.
Okay, so go to the next one. And in those days shall the mountains leap like rams, Aries. And the hills shall also skip like lambs, Aries. Satisfied with milk. Milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy. The Milky Way galaxy was named the Milky Way galaxy as far back as the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Wow.
Okay? which is thousands of years old, it was always called the Milky Way galaxy. Okay.
Right.
The interesting thing too is in the sign of Cancer, there's a group of stars called the Beehive Cluster. So the bees produce honey, so that's where the honey comes from. And the Milky Way galaxy is in the middle of Sagittarius. So from Cancer to Sagittarius in the sky is your land of milk and honey. It's not actually a place on Earth. It's just a celestial metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next. 56.5. That they may break forth as lions from their lairs, Leo, and as hungry as wolves among their flocks. The wolf is the constellation Lupus. But the city of what?
No. I said Lupo in my head. Yeah.
Yeah. But the city, oh yeah, right. You're the Italian one. I forgot.
Oh God. I almost hit you with my tea.
But the city of my righteous shall be a hindrance to their horses, Sagittarius. You see how they're obviously talking about astrology in these two sentences. Right. They just drop 3 signs.
Right.
Okay.
My God, they sure go through a lot of trouble. Eh? Just come out and say it. It's like
the vernacular, no?
Yeah. Everything's a riddle.
Yeah, the whole Bible is.
It is. All right.
You guys are starting to see a pattern, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go to 17 real quick. In those days, mine eyes saw the secrets of the lightnings and of the lights and the judgments they execute. The judge of the lights.
Right.
Like stars in Libra. Okay. Libra the judge. So go to 18, please. 67. And on that day were 2 monsters parted, a female monster named Leviathan, to dwell in the abysses of the ocean over the fountains of the water. They're talking about Pisces, the 2 fish, the 2 water monsters, and Aquarius, the fountains of the water. So you have the abyss of the ocean, that's one water, over the fountains of water. The fountain is Aquarius. I've mentioned that before. Okay, the ocean where the fish are, that's the second one. Okay, so go to 19, please. 65:6. They have learnt all the secrets of the angels and all the violence of the Satans. Okay, notice I mentioned Satans. Why did they mention Satans? They should only be.
Where are you going?
Go 17?
Where were we at? 17? 19. Okay, good.
Sorry, so where was I?
Maybe he sneezed.
Yeah, you mentioned Satans, yes.
Multiple Satans, okay?
Right.
I thought there was just one Satan. Satan is a mistranslation. There's no actual Satan, okay? Satan is a mistranslation. In Hebrew, the word is Hashatan, okay? And the word Hashatan translates to adversary. So 2 basketball teams playing each other are Satans to one another. That's all Satan's is. It's not actually a devil with a red pitchfork and a tail. Okay, that's not Satan. In fact, the earliest drawings of Satan, he was actually blue in the 900s. The earliest drawings we have of him, they actually drew him blue. Right? So Satan is not real. So go to 20.
Thank you, Joe.
And through that oath, the sun and moon complete their course and deviate not from their ordinance from eternity to eternity. And through the oath of the stars complete their course, and he calls them by their names, and they answer him from eternity to eternity. And in like manner of the spirits of the water and of the winds and of the zephyrs and in the pass of the quarter of the winds. I didn't even decode this because this is just openly, obviously talking about the sun and the moon being set, all the stars, they all have names. In the Bible, they also say that each star has a name and he calls them by that, and they echo from here to eternity. They say that. So go to the next slide. The book of the courses of the heavenly luminaries. This one is going to be so obvious. Go to 22, please. 72:3. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises and 6 portals in which the sun sets. Okay? The sun sits in each sign for 2 hours a day, making 12 signs times 2 equals our 24-hour day. Okay? So we saw 6 portals in which the sun rises and 6 portals in which the sun sets. Makes sense, right? Okay. Go to the next slide, please. 72:14. On that day, the day becomes longer than the night, and the day becomes double the night, and the day becomes 12 parts, and the night is shortened to become 6 parts. That's the summer solstice.
Right.
The longest day of the year. The summer solstice has 18 hours of sun and 6 hours of night. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're talking about here. Okay? Now go to the next slide, please. 7220. On that day, the days equalized with the night and becomes of equal length. Those are the equinoxes, the spring and the fall equinox. March 21st, Aries. September 21st, Libra. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're talking about those 2 days, they're 12-hour days and 12-hour nights. So this is just plotting out what the ancients encoded, basically, in this. They're just telling us the heavenly luminaries. They're embedding all this astrology. You can go to the next slide. 7226. And on that day, the night becomes longer and amounts to double of the day. That's the winter solstice.
Yep.
Okay? So this just explained the solstices and the equinoxes in 6 sentences. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So go to 26. 8219. And the sheep pair become pregnant. And the sheep pair and become pregnant. And all the fruits of the earth are gathered in. And everything that is in the fields and the winepress. These things take place in the days of his dominion. Now, the sheep represents Aries, and its cross sign is Libra, which is the wine season, which I've mentioned, hence the wine press. 87:4. And one said unto me, remain here till thou seest everything that befalls those elephants, camels, and asses, and the stars, and the oxen, and all of them. The elephant nebula is in Cephas. Camelopardalis, okay, borders Cephas. Ocellus borealis, or the northern donkey. Boots is the ox constellation, or could be referencing to Taurus as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
Go to the next one, please. But 89:12. But the bull, Taurus, which was born from him, begat a black wild boar. The Andromeda constellation is known as the boar, and a white sheep, which is Aries.
Right.
One sentence, one line, 3 signs.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Are you guys even surprised anymore?
No, not at
No.
all. No, the whole church thing that they'll even put symbols in plain sight, that people don't see. So this to me is fascinating.
I think a lot of people learn that just by watching the Da Vinci Code. Like for those who aren't into researching any of it, I think that was probably the one eye opener for most people.
Was the Da Vinci Code?
Yeah, I think
Well,
so.
I have a 6-book series that I've written kind of in tandem with how Dan Brown writes. He's my literary hero, And the reason I wrote in fiction, and the reason I teach this stuff in fiction, is because if you think about it, like 1984 was a fiction book, A Brave New World, Aldous Huxley was a fiction book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was a fiction book. These are all fiction books that teach truths. Oscar Wilde famously said that if you want to teach people the truth, you have to make them laugh, otherwise they will kill you. Then that's basically how it is. So I'm teaching this science, and I'm teaching a whole bunch of other things, other esoteric sciences in my book series. And yes, with Dan Brown's Da Vinci Code, but my stuff is actually real.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying for the general population of the people around the world, I think that was the introduction to that was because of the film. Most people aren't going to delve into the research that you've done or to the extent that you've done because they don't even know that it exists.
Right.
I think he kind of opened the doors for more people to
things
look.
are coded.
Yeah,
right.
I think that was a huge introduction. For most people.
Have you heard of the movie Zeitgeist that came out in 2007?
Which one?
Zeitgeist?
No.
That was the real introduction to this. It's a guy named Peter Joseph did a documentary.
Oh, a documentary. Okay.
Where he does this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
In a Hollywood format, that was like the first time you really got a deep look into it.
Well, I have a publicist, and her son is actually writing my first movie script, and we're pitching it to TV producers and movie producers.
Good for
because
you.
the stories are really, thank you. The stories are really fun. They're thrillers. but you learn so much.
Yeah,
You know?
Well, you
absolutely.
do. But just go back and looking at the time of the age of Aquarius, the age of Pisces. Let's just use the age of Pisces for example, because you can get a lot of images. The Pope's hat looked like the top of the mouth of a fish, the head of
Yeah.
a fish.
Well, that goes
You
back
know?
to there's two ancient fish gods. There's Dagon.
Right.
There's the Dagon, which is
Right.
that's
That's
where it
right.
comes from, and the other one was Mithra.
Yeah.
The Pope's hat's
Right.
name is Mitre. That comes from Mithra. So
Right.
they borrow from these fish gods.
Right.
Okay?
And
But look at this. In the
and the
Egyptian
age of the go ahead, sorry.
in the Egyptian time, it was bull worship. It was
That's
the
right.
age- it
That's
was
what I
the
was
age
just
of
gonna
Taurus.
say.
It was the
Yeah.
age of Taurus. Okay,
That's right.
you could see hieroglyphs of the sun with
Yeah.
between the bull's horns.
Correct.
Okay, that was the
Yeah.
Egyptians. Then the Egyptians start to fade after Taurus. Then the Jews come
Right.
up in Aries. That's why they blow the ram's horn. That's why they have the shank bone on the Passover plate. That's why they
Yes.
smear the blood on the wall,
Yes.
to save them from God. Then the Jews start to fade. Their populations dwindle. Then the Christians come up in Pisces.
That's
Okay,
right.
that's the two fish. Okay, that's
That's
why
right.
Jesus feeds the masses with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Hello.
That's right.
The fish is Pisces. The bread
No,
is Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk. Those
Yeah.
are opposing signs. 5 loaves of bread as well, too. The year starts in Aries. If you count 5 signs from Aries, you get Virgo. This is how
the church is more pagan and and follow the zodiac more than people realize. They really do. Like they follow the solstices, everything. It's mind blowing to me. We have a question for you before we continue on.
Yeah.
Dolly, have you come to understand the point of the writings?
I mean, to me, what they are is so what do you do with this? Is ultimate power information. Think about it. They didn't have clocks, watches, smartphones, any of that kind of stuff back in the day.
Right.
They had a sundial. Okay. The Egyptians used to look at the sky and say Horus is up there. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Horus takes 12 steps in the sky. And then he fights Set at night. And at night, Set beats him every night, but then Horus rises again. Okay. That's why we have a sunset.
That's
Okay.
right.
It comes from Set. Okay. The same thing with Jesus. When Jesus is 12 years old, he's called the Most High. Well, the sun at 12 p.m. is the Most High. Okay. It's in the sky. And it's the strongest. Okay. So what is the point of this? This was the ancient sacred information for you to survive. They encoded it in this so people couldn't get it because a combination of things. Number one, absolute power corrupts absolutely. We're seeing that in our modern politics now. It's nothing new. Okay. We're basically just replaying Rome. I mean, Rome had Capitoline Hill. We have Capitol Hill. We have Roman architecture in Washington, D.C. Everything is based on that. But the reason, again, what I'm asking is the reason they encode this is because if I were to sit there and read this, if I knew the cipher that I taught you guys tonight, that I taught you last time, and I know these key words, because think about it. What did they do back in the day? They didn't have vodka distilleries. They made wine. So you had to know when to crush the wine. That's Libra. You had to know when to plant. That's Taurus. If I look at the sky and I see the bull, I have to put the plow on the bull. Because if I don't do that, then things are going to not grow. And things don't grow, then I can't harvest the wheat to make the bread. I can't harvest all the grains, And these are basically metaphors that do this. So they encode this so that people couldn't get to it. Because these were also hand-me-down past stories that were passed on. Okay, so they encode this information so that if you had the key, you would know how to survive. Because this was how you survived back in the day. You got to remember, they're barely out of the food chain. I mean, if you think about it, it doesn't even make sense. Look at any picture of the manger. There's a camel there. There's a donkey there. There's a horse there. There's a bull there. Right? Would either of you two women give birth around all these animals?
Yeah. Yeah.
Either of us, what? Sorry?
I said, would you give birth if you were surrounded by all these animals?
If I had to, yeah. Why?
You had a choice.
If you're a woman that has to give birth, you really don't have a choice as to what's around you at that moment. So it's
I guess if you have a choice.
If I had a choice, yeah, of course not.
Yeah, but basically, my point is basically that when it comes to it's always been about sun worship. Because nothing exists without the sun. Nothing.
No.
So it's always been about solar worship. always. Okay.
Mhm.
And Jesus is just a modern day. He's just a modern day sun god. Okay.
Mhm.
You got to think about it. Like the way people take religion seriously about like literal biblical studies. Think about it. Like the Greeks and the Romans, when they were talking about their gods in the sky fighting Zeus and everybody, they took that seriously. You couldn't tell somebody Zeus didn't exist. It's the same thing now. It just repeats itself. That's all it is.
Exactly.
You mean there's no
Exactly.
Loki or Odin?
Dang
No.
it.
They represent
There's
celestial.
No,
Thor.
Loki, too
Thor
bad.
doesn't look like
Yeah.
Thor doesn't look like Chris Hemsworth, really?
Do you want me
so
to? Do you want me to keep going?
yeah, I was
Sure,
going to say
thank
we want to
you.
go to 28. Please. 28. Good, thank you.
90.31. And thereafter, those three who were clothed in white and had seized me by my hand, who had taken me up before, and the hand of that ram, which is Aries, also seizing hold of me, they took me up and set me down in the midst of the sheep, that's Aries, before the judgment took place. Judge is Libra. Those are opposing signs. There's always a pattern. That's how you know this is actually encoded this way. There's always a pattern. So go to the next slide.
Thank you.
960506. Woe to you who devour the finest of the wheat, Virgo, and drink wine in large bowls, Libra. Those are connecting signs. Woe to you who drink water from every fountain, water. That's Aquarius. It's just going in the sun's path of the zodiac. That's all it's doing. So the next one, please. Here's the appendix. Keep going. 108:15, the last words. And the sinners shall cry aloud and see them resplendent, and they indeed will go where days and seasons are prescribed to them. They're talking about the zodiac and the constellations. And is there another slide? No, I'm pretty sure that's it. That's the Book of Enoch.
It's the Book of Enoch. Interesting.
Thank you, Jojo.
Yeah. So do you want to do the Book of Revelations?
Yeah, we could do that. I'm feeling okay.
Okay. Just
Are
want to
you
double
sure?
check with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
Thank
the
you.
next one, as you can, Joe, would be great. Book of Revelations. He's just bringing it up. I can see him. No, that's
Poor guy works
fascinating.
till 7 o'clock, and we keep him here.
I know. We try not to do it to him too often. But what can I say? StreamYard hates Apple, so it ain't happening with this computer. D-Train and Juan Aconada. Okay, love Micah. Here, I'll put it up for you. There we go. There we go. There we are. Okay.
So the Book of
Awesome
Revelation.
guest.
All right,
Awesome.
let's
Yes,
slide.
he
Start
is.
with, just start with the slide. It's fine. Go to 2.
Michelle.
I
Okay.
turned around to see the voice that was speaking to me, and when I turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. And among the lampstands was someone like the Son of Man, that's Aquarius, dressed in a robe reaching down to his feet with a golden sash around his chest. So that's just a metaphor for the sun being in Aquarius, the golden sash. The hair on his head was white like wool, that's Aries, as white as snow, and his eyes were like a blazing fire. Okay, so now they're talking about the sun on fire in Aries. His feet
Right.
were like bronze glowing in the furnace, and his voice was like the sound of rushing waters. Again, the water signs. In his right hand he held 7 stars, the Pleiades, and coming out of his mouth was a sharp double-edged sword. His face was like the sun, openly talking about the sun shining in all its brilliance. You guys see all the signs, right?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's right.
So go
No, I'm
to 4.
There we go. Everybody sees that? It's going to be there forever now.
D-Train and Wanaconda. Loving it.
Yep.
Loving it. Reach out to me
Yep.
on social. I'll give you guys my social information after this.
Solar Maximum.
Okay.
Yep.
Revelation 4:7. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. So go to the next slide. Oh, I gave you an old presentation. Okay, go back to it real quick. 4. Go back to 4. The first living creature was like a lion. That's Leo. The second was like an ox. That's Taurus. The third had a face like a man. That's Aquarius. The fourth was like a flying eagle. In astrology, the eagle is Scorpio. Okay, the scorpion is the belly crawling creature. Okay, so it's a punishment to crawl on your belly. God punishes the snake after the deception in the Garden of Eden to crawl on his belly. Okay, it's a punishment. It's the lowest crawling form of life on Earth. However, it evolves and becomes the eagle, which is the highest flying form of life on Earth. Okay, so the eagle becomes Scorpio. So you have Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. Those are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. When you're talking about the fixed signs of the zodiac, they're fixed because they're fixed in their season. Leo is the middle of the summer. Ox is the middle of spring. Aquarius is the middle of winter. And Scorpio is the middle of the fall. Now, if you take Leo, face was like the lion, and the third had a face like a man, those are opposing signs. Okay, the second was like an ox, Taurus, and the fourth was like a flying eagle, Scorpio. Those are opposing signs. When you look at the zodiac wheel and you connect them, it makes a cross. Or it makes an X, I should say. It makes an X through the zodiac wheel. What's more likely? Okay, there's a 4-headed monster in the sky, or something that actually makes scientific science like this. So you can go to 6 now. Revelation 5:5. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." So go to 7. This mentions that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, also the Lion of Judah, or Leo, the sun rules the planet Leo, is able to open the scrolls and the 7 seals. Again, referencing the Pleiades, the 7 seals, the 7 stars. The Pleiades are in Taurus for those keeping score. So I was right before. So go to 8. I watched as the Lamb, this is Revelation 6:1. I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures, which we just went over, say in a voice like thunder, "Come." Do you know why the Lamb has to open the first seal?
No, but I can't wait to find out.
The Lamb is Aries. Aries is the start of the year. The year ends in Pisces and it starts in Aries. We went over this, Amelia. Apri, open.
Oh, yeah, it's actually apri is not open. That's a slang. It's actually aperto. I was right last time. Just saying. But sorry,
Okay.
you're cut. I have really high winds, so you're cutting out. That's why when I squint and I move in, it's because I'm having trouble hearing. We have like 90-kilometer winds out here right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
I thought you just had gas. I didn't know what was going on.
No.
no, but I was right. It's a
Different kind of wind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. So the Lamb opens the first seal because the Lamb is Aries, and Aries starts the year. That's why it opens the first seal. So go to 9. Okay, 10. I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow. I mean, that's just Sagittarius.
Right.
Okay, so go to 11. Okay, go to 12. These are just explanations for the slides. I'm not leaving stuff out, guys. Revelation 6:6. Then I heard what sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, and 2 pounds of barley for a day's wages. The wheat and the barley is Virgo. And do not damage the oil, that's olive oil, that's Libra, and the wine, that's Libra. Virgo and Libra are connecting signs. Okay, so go to 14. Revelation 6:12. I watched as he opened the 6th seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red. And the stars in the sky fell to earth as figs drop from a fig tree when shaken from a strong wind. So go to 15. The sun turned black like a sackcloth made of goat hair. The moon turned blood red. Figs dropped from a fig tree. The goat is Capricorn, and it's black because Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn, which is known as the black planet. The Jews' worship goes back to Saturn worship. They wear a black cube on their forehead. Okay. The Muslims walk around the Kaaba, which is a giant black cube. It's Saturn worship. Right. Yeah. Now, the moon turned blood red because directly across from Capricorn, its cross sign is Cancer, whose ruling planet is the moon. The first time figs are good to eat are in June or Cancer. The second time they are good to eat is from August to October, basically Libra. Okay, so go to the next slide. Revelation 7:4. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. So you've heard this verse, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
people believe that only 144,000 people are going to heaven.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they believe. They believe only
Yes.
144,000 are going to heaven. They believe it's predestined.
Mm-hmm.
They believe that no matter what you do, you're either doomed or you're going to heaven. That's idiotic. Go to
Mhm.
17 real quick.
It's a great way of getting away with stuff that
Yep. There are 7 chakras. The root has 4 petals. The sacral has 6. The solar plexus has 10. The heart has 12. The throat has 16, which equals 48. The third eye chakra is represented by 96 and only has 2 petals because it's 2 times as powerful as the lower chakras. So 48 times 2 equals 96. The crown chakra is 1,000 times more powerful than the lower 6 chakras. When you add the lower 6, you get 96 plus 48 equals 144, and times that by 1,000, and you get your 144,000. When you've activated all your chakras, that is when you get to see God. It is not predetermined. You are not one of 144,000 people. We all have the ability to see God when we get our chakras aligned. Okay, so go to the next slide.
Hi, Tyler.
Revelation 9:3. And out of the smoke, locusts came down on the earth and were given powers like that of the scorpions on earth. Okay, so locusts. Okay, what is the power of the scorpion? It's the betrayer. It's the betrayer. That's what the scorpion does. So, locusts, if you go back to the Bible, they're a source of food. Okay, they're a source of food. When you're talking about it, I forget where it is there, but it's early on. It's in Genesis, I believe, what you're allowed to eat. And they say that locust is one of the ones that you can eat. So it's a source of food, but it's also the betrayer because not only is it a food source to keep you alive, but it's a plague also. Okay, so it gets given the power of that. So go to 20 real quick. The locusts looked like horses prepared for battle. On their head, they wore something like crowns of gold, and their faces resembled human faces. Their hair was like woman's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. They had tails with stingers like scorpions. Locusts looked like horses. That's Sagittarius. On the head, they wore something like the crowns of gold. So that's the sun in Sagittarius. Their faces resembled human faces. Who are the humans? That's Aquarius, the man, and Virgo, the woman. Okay? Their hair was like woman's hair. That's Virgo. And their teeth were like lion's teeth. That's Leo. They had tails with stingers like scorpions. That's Scorpio.
That's Scorpio.
There's a ton of signs in there. So go to 22. Revelation 12:1. A great sign appeared in. This is another one they think that's going to happen. A great sign appeared in heaven. A woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven. An enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. So let's break this down. This is not going to be a woman in the sky with a dragon about to eat her. That's not what's happening. The sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun. The woman is Virgo. Clothed with the sun is the sun in Virgo, with the moon under her feet. Okay? If the sun is up, the moon is down. If the moon is up, the sun is down.
Right.
Okay? Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon. There's a constellation called Draco, which is the dragon. Okay?
That's right.
Its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. That actually is a third of the stars out of the sky. Okay, so that's where this comes from. That's what this means. It all follows the same pattern. So go to 24. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like a lion. There's a constellation called Camelopardalis. It can reference a camel, Camelos, or Pardalis, which means leopard. Okay, the giraffe used to be called the camel leopard. And if you think about it, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay? So Camelopardalis, but had feet like those of a bear. The constellation Ursa Major, which is the great bear. Okay? And a mouth like that of a lion. That's Leo.
Yeah. Right.
Now, Ursa Major goes from, I believe, Cancer to Virgo. No, Cancer to Leo to Virgo. That's where Ursa Major is. Okay? So it ends in Virgo. No, it ends in Virgo. So it actually crosses through. This will be the configuration. Okay. So
I'm just letting you know the comments as they come up. So
Right.
while it's relevant, while we're going through it. Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Go to 26. Revelation 13:11. Then I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb. That's Aries. But it spoke like a dragon. That's Draco, whose tail starts in Aries. So they're basically just talking about Aries here. So go to 28. Revelation 18:13. Cargoes of cinnamon and spice, of incense, myrrh, and frankincense, of wine and oil, Libra, of fine flour and wheat, Virgo, cattle, Taurus, and sheep, Aries, horses and carriages, Sagittarius, and human beings, Aquarius and Virgo, sold as slaves. There's 8 signs right there.
Wow.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then go to the last slide. I think that's the last slide.
29.
Yeah, that was it. That's the book of Revelation. I could do this with any book that you guys
There's
throw.
so many signs, and a lot of those
So
was heavy.
hold on, just another comment from Dolly. That's those who plan to survive over all of those on earth. Those who plan to survive over all of those on earth. Okay. So why do you think? I mean, obviously it's a control thing because that's what the Bible says. If we're looking at all of this, but if you can do this with any book, for example, why put everything in codes? Why not just come out and
Because
say
they hid it from the average person, because people got what happens when a company comes out like Twitter or something and they want to give you free speech, then it gets too big, then they start to censor, and then every power corrupts. So they had to hide this. So either they hid this, okay? That's what I think they did. They hid this so that they couldn't openly talk about it, so that people couldn't corrupt it. But it was never meant to be taken. It was never meant to be taken literally. The earliest Christians before Constantine, the earliest Christians were called Helionostics. That Helios means sun.
the Gnostics? I was going to say I would love for you to come on and do the Gnostics.
I've done a few of them. Yeah.
I've because they were very open about what they were all about. They
But
were
they were
very
still
open about
encoded,
the
too.
stars and extraterrestrials, and
But very lightly, they'll talk about the sun. They'll talk about the moon. They're not going to give like this sign right here. They're not this passage right here. They're not going to tell you about these 8 signs that are hidden.
That
I mean,
was
what else
huge.
can it be when there's so many signs in one passage?
So everything basically goes around the symbols, and it goes, around the zodiac. So basically, yes, the zodiac is what makes the world go around, essentially. So they're encoding it all.
Right.
Okay, so here
Captains use it with their ships as well.
yes, you should do the Gnostics. Come back and do that. Then she says, you can't be a good slave otherwise. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, why? That's the question. I mean, obviously there's codes in everything. Everything you read, there's a code.
Not like this. This tells a whole different story when you read it. You can read the Bible literally, but if you don't know the cipher, you're not going to be able to read it the right way.
Right. So break
That's
it
why
down.
the stories are funny. That's why they have things like talking donkeys and talking snakes that people believe literally, or that people walk and turn into piles of salt. People take this literally. They used to write it symbolically.
Right. Yeah.
Which makes sense.
So he spoke in parables, and for a reason. Yep.
Well, there's more to that line, but yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. This is history in a different format. Yep. I agree. I know you can look at a book and look at it an entirely different way. But I mean, with everything that's out there are code breakers who are really like beyond. They believe that there's a lot more to it. Are they just wasting their time? Is this essentially what it's all about?
There's more.
Because you make it look pretty easy.
There's more to it. Well, I've studied this for 8 years.
He's already decoded it all. That's why.
Yeah,
He just gave it to us. If we were reading it, we would be there would be, for me anyways, there would be notes all over that page.
They're coming out with like they're creating different words and messages like every pulling out like letters, and they're just doing something really ridiculously crazy. Like, is there something more to it, or really is this what it is all about at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, I mean, I've done the book of Matthew with you. I've done the book of Job.
Yeah.
I've done the book of Revelation. I've done the book of Enoch. It's all the same stuff.
Right.
This is the hidden code that's in all of them.
Mhm.
Right. Right. But why the zodiac? Like, is there something more that has to do with the stars that we
It's
should we be looking to the
it's how we
stars?
survive. It's how we survive.
Right.
You can look at like the crawl right now. It says December 15th, 2021. I know it's winter. I know it's going to be cold outside.
Right.
The ancients didn't know when days change. They didn't know when the the earliest ones didn't have forms of instant access like that. We turn on the weather, and when they're right, usually they tell us it's going to snow, so we prepare ourselves. They had no idea.
No, I agree with that.
It's basically a farmer's almanac. That's what it is.
Mhm.
Yes, there we go. Its time is known. He's got it right. Those at the time had the understanding of children. It's time to grow up. So, meaning what with that, Dolly? I mean, now we've got technology. So why is this? I mean, we're decoding the past, sort of thing. But do you think they're still doing this now, moving forward?
They're using these ancient books, all three of them. I've done the Quran too.
Right.
It's all the same stuff. These ancient books, they take it literally and they use it to seed war against people.
Right.
That's what they do. People fighting over it. They like it that way.
Right.
Again, comes back to power. How many do you believe that's why? I don't know, like with the Catholics, for instance, that it was left out of the Bible.
I mean, I don't know why certain books were left out of the Bible. I could tell you they all could be decoded this way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I think they left the book of Enoch out because, like I told you in that slide 8.1, they openly talk about who taught constellations, who taught this. It's kind of hard to tell people not to do that.
Astrology.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, forbidden magic to them, playing with the dark side.
But yet
Yeah.
they're all about it. Don't play with
That's
it.
what
Only
they
we
had
can do
to
that.
hide, though. They had to hide that because they could, again, control and power.
But that's what I'm
Fascinating. That
saying.
was really amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the only ones that are allowed to keep the forbidden knowledge are those at the top in control, you know. But you're right; these are the type of books that the faithful literally take very literally, and they'll freaking go to their deaths taking it very literally. People go to war over these things. You know, so what do you say to the naysayers? Like, you're crazy, even though it all makes sense. Can you even get through? Can you even get through to a very
I can just share this information and then people reach out to me and say this changed my mind. You got to wait for that. I can't shove it in someone's brain and change their mind.
right?
You know, there's people who aren't ready to unplug from the matrix.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a lot to absorb if you have a strong faith and belief in
It is.
what you're always been, you know, taught to believe. It's hard.
What I get told from a lot of people who reach out to me is it's very freeing to know that like hell doesn't exist.
Well, I was just grateful those 10 commandments don't mean shit because I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Send the hate mail to her.
Trying to lighten things up, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Awareness is the first step.
Yeah,
I
I'm
agree.
still on the fence with things. I mean, I believe in everything that you just said. It makes complete sense. I'm not judging that at all. But then I have that Catholic guilt inside of me where it's like, right?
Because you're born. You're Italian. They're diehard Roman Catholics.
Very devout. Very, very devout. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of like a recovering Catholic, so it's easier for me to accept all this stuff because I'm like, nah, not so
I'm
much.
terrible in the way that I'm not devout. I don't practice. I don't go to church, but I will sit and have conversations with priests because I'm fascinated by everything. But I use it as learning, and I will go to mass once in a while just because I love when they're speaking and if they're telling stories. It's just something that I do still enjoy. But I do have a lot of questions. I've, you know,
Put
I mean,
me
you
aside
know,
from
I've
the
been
architecture. I don't care.
Yeah, no, see, I still
It's,
have a
you know,
fascination with it and why they're there. And I ask them all the time. I have respect for and interest in all types of clergy and why they're there. I think it's important to learn from all of them, but I will sit and have a discussion with a rabbi. It doesn't matter to me. I'm fascinated by all religions. I'm curious
but
more than anything.
all these people who wrote these books, I mean, they're obviously speaking, you know, everything is just tongue in cheek. It doesn't, like that would take a lot of work, I would think, as opposed to just being able to come right out and just put it, you know,
Mhm.
like why not just give them a fairy tale and leave all of the astrology out of it. I think the faithful, you know, I mean, pagans knew all this. They didn't need the books to tell them. Ancient cultures knew all this. They didn't need this sort of thing. Like, would you find this in hieroglyphs?
Yeah, I do the Egyptian Book of the Dead too.
Right, right. So it goes way back, even like
In fact, the
prior.
Ten Commandments actually come from chapter 125 in the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Really,
Were there 10, or is it that
I
question again
I
of
heard
how
there were
many and
many,
did
many,
they?
many.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So in Judaism, there's something called the Noahide laws or Noahide laws. There's 613 commandments we need to keep.
that's right. That's right.
613?
Mm-hmm.
And the
I'd be
Christians are
burned
kind
to
of
a
like
crisp.
10.
Yeah, 10 works. 10 works. And do they believe in a hell as well?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
No.
I didn't think so either. That's really interesting. Thank you, Micah. I'm just
Um,
curious about all of that.
we're going to do a quick station and sponsor ID. Then we
Yes,
can continue on.
absolutely. Let
Okay,
me
thank
take these
you.
off because I'm dying.
The
You are
business
listening.
part now.
Yes, the business, the delicious business. You are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and myself, Amelia Pisano. Tonight's guest is Micah Dank, and we're talking all about the Book of Revelations and Enoch. And he is here to decode it for you. If you missed it, please wait a minute because this will be in archive before you know it, and you don't want to miss any of it. You want to start it from the top. So tonight we are broadcasting live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. We are streaming on International Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio, as well as UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials Radio. Our intro and outro is from the award-winning composer, Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, Justin Snicker. He is available on, you can buy his music on Bandcamp, Amazon. You can find him on Facebook and Instagram. And he has links. And of course, we share him up on our Facebook group page. So you can find him there as well. Our song and our voice, the voice that you hear is Justin Snicker. And of course, we love Folgers, our sponsor from day one. No one loves you more than Michelle and I. Thank you for supporting our show, and you're the reason why we're here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so what's next for you, Micah?
I'm going to pass out.
Oh my gosh.
No
I
one's
hope
holding you.
get tons
Holding you
of
to your
rest.
chair. We're grateful you
Seriously.
joined us. Yeah.
You
Thank
need
you.
rest and fluids
I will.
and just
Yeah.
seriously nothing, even mentally, just.
Yeah. Go get
And you said
yourself
your
some
wife's
rest.
Italian. She's probably making you tons of soup.
We actually get Chinese soup.
There you go.
Excellent.
That's it. Doesn't matter. You just need soup, right?
Yeah.
We'll connect up in the new year.
Yeah.
Truth
I'll send you a
Cast
list
coming
of
on in February.
I'll send you a list of the stuff that I do, the books that I do.
Okay. Yep.
And
Yep.
I'll
That
send you a
sounds
list
good.
of the books that I do.
Dolly says load up on vitamin C and calcium.
I do. I have a joint pill behind me.
Right.
It's vitamin C and calcium. It's zinc and calcium.
Can you imagine if
Excellent.
you didn't? Oh wow.
No.
That's good. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
doing
Send
that.
everything. That's perfect.
Thank you for being on tonight. Thanks
Yes.
for
Take
joining
care
us.
of yourself.
Thanks, ladies. I'll talk to you
All
soon.
right. All
Take
right.
care.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday.
Hey. Bye-bye.
You too.
Well, that was interesting. I find it's a total different spin on, yeah, it's a total different spin on reading some of these scriptures. I would love to see what he does or has done with the Gnostic text, because these were a group of people who were already very open about the stars you know, the
Mhm.
universe, the constellations, extraterrestrials within space,
Yeah,
contact, all of that stuff. So it's not like they really had to hide any of that. So
we may need more than that too, because he said it's brief. It's not as in depth, but
yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
when he sends you the list,
Yeah,
see
Dead
what he
Sea
suggests or
Scrolls,
what he
things like that.
recommends.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I know. I love this sort of stuff. But then, you know,
And the
Jordan
Egyptian
Maxwell
Book of
does
the
things
Dead
like that.
be interesting as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love it. I love it. So, getting a book finally recovered from. Oh, you're going to get a book. Absolutely. Let us know how you find it. Absolutely. All right, guys, questions in. We've got probably about 20 minutes before we sign off. So if you have any questions, pop them in and we can even send them over to Micah. But yeah, I find it's hard for me to keep track with the whole the zodiac thing. Some people follow it very, very closely, you know, to say, well, these are opposing signs. They don't work good. And this is, you know, these signs work together. These signs follow. You're gonna look on the cusp of this. I'm like, wow, you know, but yet it's like, but when
I
you reads it, it makes sense.
I love all his research. I respect him and all that he says. I'm
Hmm.
just like I said, being raised Catholic, I do believe everything he says. And then
Right.
there's some things where I feel bad, but I do understand a lot of the way he reads things because my father went by the moon and the stars and he was a winemaker and my
Hmm.
family does make olive oil, like literally the
Hmm.
stereotypical Italian family.
Right.
So I do understand that. And I understand that from speaking with my grandfather, what he would say. And my father, to the day he died, would say to you that you can't give birth to a child until 9 moons have passed, which
It's
is
like,
9
what?
months. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
But you're
Yeah.
not aware of the first one because by the time you find out, you're already a month along. So it really does make sense. And he hasn't
Hmm.
been wrong. He hasn't been wrong with any of us. But
That's
um,
true, but that's a lot of that's a lot of pagan stuff, you know.
it,
Like
it is, but it's also what you have to remember is they come from farmers. A lot
that's
of them
right.
were farming in southern Italy, so you
Hmm.
did do stuff of the land and of the stars and the sea. It
Hmm.
makes total sense. They're fishermen
No,
on the coast,
exactly,
on that coast. And yeah,
exactly.
I just look at that. I look at when they did the salumi, like prosciutto and stuff like that. For those of
Hmm.
you who are not vegan, for
Hmm.
those of you who are vegan, I'm so sorry. um,
Yeah.
but like I look at when that's done. It's done at a certain time after New Year's. It's done so many weeks after.
Hmm.
There's
That's
a,
right.
there's a time period for that, and it's really
Hmm.
interesting. You
But
know,
it's funny. What Tamara says, all references to the star maps them and time of the year associated with them. I agree. I agree completely. You know, when you're getting back into, again, I'll go into, you know, pagan times, you're looking at even like the holidays, like they followed all of this stuff. So it's almost as though when the Christians started amalgamating these cultures, it's like they kept so much of it. Like on the Gray Zone this Saturday, we're going to be talking about, you know, ancient origins of Christmas along with its dark folklore. Like we're going to put them together, and it's so interesting when I'm reading it because, you know, it's like their belief system. They followed the stars. It was all about the solstice and the equinox, all of it.
mm-hmm.
So it's not like it had to be hidden. But I think when the church came along, every time they amalgamated one, they would keep parts of their holidays, you know, and eventually they phased them all out. But
Yeah,
I'm thinking they didn't phase them all out. I'm thinking that they kept with it, and certain people in the world, you know, are still practicing,
mm-hmm.
and but that's not what they're preaching. And this is why they had to hide everything. It's just my own personal theory. I think it's good for those who are of certain status, you know. Pagans, Christmas trains. Yep, and some. Oh my gosh, yes, and some. Absolutely. We'll
Yeah.
cover a lot of that. But I completely agree. I've studied Jordan Maxwell stuff, and his information is also mind blowing. And a lot of it, or there's a good chunk of it's on the same lines. Like Micah basically, I could see why he leaned towards Jordan's work, because it's just, it makes so much sense. Like Jordan goes so far, even beyond, because he deals with a lot of symbolism as well, not just so much all the zodiac stuff, but in symbolism. And when you start looking at all of it, you're just mind blown. You just sit there and go like, how do I not see this? It's like hidden in plain sight.
But that's
I
just
guess
like the Zodiac murders too. All those letters were hidden
everything,
in plain sight. He worked that
everything.
way with all
Yes.
of his letters
Yeah.
to the police, and all his clues were there, and nobody could ever decipher it. Although there's someone on TV saying that he knows who he is, but he doesn't. But anyways, just saying.
Yeah. I think they can't say, well, we didn't hide it. It's in plain sight. It's right there. But you know what? No.
Back then it was hidden, though, when you think of it. When they wrote it, it was hidden from everyone.
Sure,
it was
but
only
look
the
at it this
scholars
way.
and the people who
Wasn't
created
it
that
Galileo
vernacular that
who was
understood.
almost like condemned for his theory on astronomy and
Well,
astrology?
the whole
And
thing is Galileo was in northern Italy, so you're right next to the Vatican. So yeah,
but
it
they were
was a
studying
bad
it.
place
They were
to
worshiping
be.
it. They were
But even Da
doing.
Vinci had issues with the Vatican.
I
mean,
know, but the
they all
Vatican
did.
was knee deep in it, is what I'm saying.
I
It's
know,
like, you
but so's
can't
the
go do
Bible.
that. Forget it.
So's the Bible.
Oh yeah, hands down, hands down. That's why it's just so dang like frustrating. It's almost as though if you were a certain class of people, maybe you were educated differently when you would read some of these books and these scriptures. You
It's not
knew
the
and
poor
were
reading
taught how
them.
to read it,
Yeah,
right?
it's not the poor reading them. It's the wealthy. Again, like Micah said, with power, I totally agree with him on that. That's
Yeah.
a huge one.
No, I agree.
You
I
know.
agree. I think it's just so
Da Vinci was a
frustrating.
contactee, yes.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He was.
That's evident in his
Oh
work
yeah.
as well. But
Well, he disappeared for like 2 weeks in the cave, came back. Brilliant. It's like, his work changed after that. I mean, it changed with formulas and everything. And here's something people don't realize. If we're on the, talking about abductees or contactees, Nikola Tesla was said to be from Venus. FBI have released papers on that.
makes sense.
And it
as to
says
why
right
he
in
was so
there,
advanced.
and they were accompanied by Venusians when he was taken to the Tesla family, and they would periodically show up through his life. So it's like, wow.
I know the Vatican used oracles. They also used sages. You're talking about like way back when it started, and they kept those ways still today. So it also, most Catholics will be very nervous around me being a medium, but yet they'll read the Bible, quote it to me. They need to relearn that because they're often used, and the apostles are all gifted, just saying. But anyways, yeah,
it's true. It's almost like what's good for the goose is not so good for the gander.
No,
and it is a shame because we've been so suppressed, like from really early on. They say things changed in 300 AD. Yes, absolutely, because that's where Constantine came in. Okay, what do we have here? For everything, there's a reason and
season.
a time for matter under heaven. 2, okay, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up what is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, for time to weep. Okay, I'm just trying to get through your sense of humor of a phone here. Hold on. A time to weep, time to laugh, time to mourn, time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to, I think this is where it stops for us here anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, I do agree.
So many characters in chat.
Yes, he heard the universe talking. He had devices that would assist him with that also. So, he's brilliant. Brilliant. There's a reason that his work went missing after he passed. But
I'm really impressed that he lived as long as he did, because you would think they would have tried to take him out a long time ago.
oh, for sure. For sure. Oh, they kept a close watch on him. That's a definite. But they still needed him, as long as it worked out. But I just think, a brilliant mind like that, it comes from somewhere else. They didn't have that capability here at all. And anything that was hidden and suppressed. I would love to know what's down in those Vatican vaults, let me tell you.
We all want to know.
No, absolutely.
I think the only ones that do know are the Swiss, because they're guarding it, and the Vatican police. That's it. Even they don't know all of it. We know that there are works from Dante Alighieri. We know that there are, things from works from Da Vinci, from Galileo. They're all there because they want to keep them from us. And we're aware of that. All the greats, a lot of Renaissance paintings, and there's a lot of stuff down there. We can roughly, have a rough idea. Sorry, not roughly, but have a rough idea of what is in there. And like I said earlier, I know it sounds true, it sounds small, but Da Vinci, the movie, the Da Vinci Code, really did open the eyes of a lot of people who never looked at this.
Right.
I know a lot of people who are not in. It was very much an introduction to the code. It was an eye opener for them, and for some of them overwhelming, and they didn't want to know more because it made them uncomfortable.
It also did some harm in a way too, though. When I was at Rennes-le-Château, there was a big sign, even like on the cemetery gate, that basically said, the gates, we've been locked up since the movie The Da Vinci Code. They specifically said it because people were just going in there and being so disrespectful. It's like, why does that have to happen? Like you bombard a place, but you don't respect it.
Yeah, but they did that with 9/11. They went down there.
It's everything.
They did that with 9/11. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people. When something gets brought to light, respect it. Especially when you're looking at one like it's so old. It started off as a Roman settlement, like back to 1300s, 1000. It's a really old location. Respect it. It's not everything you see in the movie. It's not.
No, but they do that with Pisa too, and Pisa's been there since the 1100s. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just have a healthy respect. That's always my fear when something comes to light like that. You're always taking a chance, and some of those secrets that may be there. I mean, what are you going to do? Just ransack the place? They don't do it intentionally, but I mean, do you know at Rennes-le-Château there's a statue of a demon? I'm not gonna just go and blap off the name, but they keep a cast, like a mold of his face, because more people go in and smash it. They don't believe it belongs in the chapel, yet it's a symbolism and it has its place. And it's happened so many times.
They don't understand it.
They don't. It happened 2 or 3 years after I was there. I was mortified. But he's been replaced so many times. It's like, come on.
There's 200 churches in Rome. If you want to travel and go from church to church, there's a great city to do it in because there's 200 churches. They have the most churches out of any city in the world of Catholic churches. And you're talking about things going back to the 1100s and before that.
Right.
So don't bombard Rennes.
Right. Yeah. It's true. I don't know. I think people are looking at things with a different view. I mean, where it has benefited, the tourism money has helped Rennes-le-Château. It has helped Rosslyn Chapel. They were able to do a lot of restoration work there when I was there.
Sherry.
Hey, Sherry.
Fog is lifting. Thank God.
It is. Yeah. But when I was there, I was able to spend some time and really look at some of all the codes that are in there. The people who spend hours and go in there and just try to decode things. and you're looking at the symbols, and you're just like, oh my God, like the people who did this, like the information,
Yeah, I'm laughing at Zach because I
hidden
think it's
in
pretty
plain sight.
close, Zach. I think New York and Rome are pretty close because I've been to New York City.
Yeah, right.
I'm talking about Catholic churches, Roman Catholic churches, because Roman, right? That's where the Roman Catholic faith began. So they're going to have the most churches because it was just a thing where they just kept building them and popping up everywhere.
I've been
This is
to
a long
more
time
little
ago.
towns in the United States, and there's a church on every corner. So I can only imagine what's in these big cities.
New York is covered with them. They've got some really beautiful Gothic churches in there that are not on the tourist, what I call the tourist trap list. But on the outskirts, which I was able to see a lot of them, and I was so grateful for it.
I know. I visit a lot too when I go to. I love the architecture. People do the same to their elderly, not thinking they're full of wisdom, and they miss out. I agree. I've
There's a really big problem with that right now with this. I'm just saying.
Wow.
There's a big problem with that right now.
With everything going on, yeah, you're very limited. You don't have access. I spent hours.
No, she's referring to, sorry, Michelle, she's referring to not listening to them when they're speaking, the wisdom, which is true because I've learned so much
and I'm thinking
from
of
my
all
dad
these,
and my grandfather.
Yeah, I'm thinking of all these people who because of this pandemic are not able to go and see their loved ones, or are, because they're not letting everybody come in, with vaccine circumstances.
They're the most vulnerable.
Well, they are, and I appreciate that. But what I'm saying is that there's just opportunities wasting away on that part as well. I've just whenever I have done events in places, the City of Toronto has sent me to do events at retirement homes and communities, and Burlington has done it, and it was always so interesting to me because I had people come up to me, especially when I was representing Casa Loma. And I remember this elderly woman coming up to me. She goes, when my father was a boy, he would haul stones from Lake Ontario up to the castle to build the fencing. I'm like, well, it's a hike. It's this little boy in his wagon.
As a little boy, that's a really big hike, but
but people would do this and they would get paid for the stones, right? And then another woman said, oh yes, my uncle brought over, he did all the wood floors, and she would explain that, and I was in awe because it was just stuff that there's just no way you would know it unless you listened. And when I was in Burlington, because I did tours there, so when I was brought into a specific retirement home, I loved doing them because they were so curious. But what was funny about them is you had the more reserved elderly people. You had those who would come out and say blah blah blah, and you had the reserved ones who pulled you aside after that on their own because they didn't want anybody else in the home hearing their ghost story, and they had experiences and they wanted to say it very quietly. But I still learned a lot about the city of Burlington, saying there was this over here. What are we looking at, Joe?
I don't know, but he's giving you music for that.
There we go. Okay, so so I'm just going to go with it. So,
okay, it's not Christmas yet. It's not for another week. I want to read Tamara's comment. Thank you, Jeff. Tamara says a lot of unrecorded history die with lost generations.
It's true.
Can I give you some advice to all of you that are listening right now? Because it's something that my cousins and I have done in our family. One of us writes everything down that they've told us.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we will have those stories all together for the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing to do. One of my cousins had mentioned it, and so I note everything that he says, and I write him. I'm like, okay. And then I talk to the other one. She's doing it, and I've done it. I've even so much as I've got a little booklet of just my dad's English.
Yeah.
I'm a CNA and in a home caregiver. God bless you, Michelle.
Yeah.
And I work for them every day. I love hearing all of it, right? We need more people like you in there. My sister did that. See, Wayne, it's important. I think it's really important to keep it going because we don't necessarily have those conversations with our children now. My daughter has been fortunate where she's had a 24-year relationship with my dad, who passed a year ago, and she continues to have a relationship with her grandparents on my husband's side, and she's got these stories right from them. It's important. You have to want to have them.
I think if you do that too, there's no messing around, like kind of getting back to information that's been kept or lost. I mean, I think some of the best information,
use your voice recorder. Yeah, on your phone. Sorry.
The best way of record keeping was the ancient ways, which was oral history passed down.
Yeah.
There is no freaking coding, decoding. That was just oral history. And as long as you kept it going and as long as people were interested in hearing it, you heard it the way it got passed down, because it was an art form as well. And it was a form that was respected. A lot of our indigenous tribes still do that.
Yes,
It's like,
that's true.
So there is nothing being hidden. It is what it is. When you start writing things down, that's when it gets manipulated.
The things she taught you, Dolly, right?
For sure. Yeah,
I think about that, and I always believed it takes a village to raise a child. So I always had my daughter, around other relatives, friends of the family that were like blood relatives that have since come and gone, and she's learned a lot, and so have I. And I think it's important to keep it that way. And I hope she does that when she has her family. I have the stories orally from my grandparents, so the family will ask me, I will tell them. That's excellent, Tamara. You write them down and you share them. What we want to do as cousins is put them down in a book and then have it printed out for whoever wants it in the family. Just the stories, even if it's like a PowerPoint, it doesn't matter. Just that they're there. There's a lot of history just within my own uncles. One was a prisoner of war, captured by the Germans and was gone for 2 years. That kind of stuff. Even my dad's war stories, long before that, the family before that, so yeah, it's important.
When they're gone, they're gone. That's
exactly
for sure. You just look back at time past. I think if you could go back in time, who would you want to sit and have a conversation with? On my list, I got a list as long as my arm.
Yeah, I agree, Wayne. I love that. Yeah. Make a coffee book with the odd photos makes a great gift. I think so too. Yeah. I know. When you see that post, that meme that says, who would you, like you said, who would you have a conversation? I can't pick one. I couldn't.
I've had the pleasure of just through doing spirit communications with some of my equipment, have been able to talk to some unbelievable people. So I've been fortunate that way. I've gone with my maternal great grandma. Yeah, it's always nice.
In the Royal Navy. Wow, God bless them. Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm going to sign us off. It's almost 11 p.m. So everyone, again, we want to thank all of you for participating in chat. You guys always make it so much more fun.
Absolutely.
But we have come to the end of another great segment of the Outer Realm, and a big thank you to Micah Dank, because I know he really wasn't feeling 100%, so he's a trooper for forging ahead. And a big thank you to our producer Joe Montaldo, who was manning the fort behind the scenes with the PowerPoint. Huge thank you to Folgers Coffee, of course, for sponsoring tonight's show. Another big thank you to Dr. Snick, aka Justice Snicker, for providing us with your music and your voice for our intro and outro. Now, please remember, stop by the International Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio and UFO Gods and Extraterrestrials YouTube channels and subscribe, please. And don't forget about our group page over on Facebook, The Outer Realm. Show us a bit of love. And if you're going to communicate with us, the best way to do it, please, is the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. Again, the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com, all lowercase. Next week is just going to be a lot of fun. Wednesday evening, we welcome for the very first time our friend and fellow UPRN radio host, Michael Angley. And Michael is, the head of America's Most Haunted. And he's got a lot of great stories to tell. He's very knowledgeable. So we thought we would have a little bit of fun in that. And we can turn it into a bit of a Q&A also, because I know he'll have a lot to contribute. Thursday evening, we welcome Don Panamore. He's going to be talking about near-death experiences. And don't forget about Joe and I. As far as I know, we are definitely doing the Gray Zone Uncensored this Saturday, 5 to 7. I know, Central, and 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be talking about the origins and dark folklore of Christmas, which is going to be fun. So anyway, thank you to everyone. And we shall see you, of course, next week.
You have been listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, airing live every Wednesday and Thursday evening, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 10 p.m. Central, on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.